Hello and welcome to the RIE Mentor Series. My name is Kelly Scott and I am honored to bring to you 4 RIE mentors. These 4 RIE associates all studied extensively with RIE's founder Magda Gerber during their training and have been mentoring other associates, early child care professionals, and parents for over 30 years. They are an extraordinary group of thinkers, teachers, and parent educators, and each brings their own unique perspective to our conversation surrounding struggle that I'm grateful to be able to share with you. Today I'm speaking with Harry Grebler. Harry began studying with Magda Gerber in 1984. She's also studied Waldorf Early Childhood Education, and she was lucky enough to begin her Pikler studies at Loczy and is now a Pikler Pedagogue Candidate. She founded Harry's RIE Studio in Santa Monica, California, and has been offering support to families and early child care professionals for over 35 years. She lives in Venice, California with her husband and 2 children, and I'm so thrilled to be speaking with her today. So tell us a little bit about how you found RIE, what resonated with you, and why you decided to, have it be your life's work.
Well, I haven't decided that it's going to be my life's work. And I'm always wondering, like, who's going to call next year? It's really funny. Like, when I first got the studio that I have now, they asked me if I wanted a 5-year lease. And I was, what? A 5-year lease? What is that? I didn't know. I said, no, I won't. And I've been there 19 years now. So I probably should have taken that 5-year lease in the very beginning. But I just never knew. I met Magda because a teacher that was in my high school, one of my high school teachers, this was after high school, found Magda and had a baby and was doing it and told us about it. And I thought, wow, it sounds like somebody's really respecting infants and young children. And I was excited about it because I thought that I also was respecting infants and young children. I had started teaching nursery school in junior high and high school. I went to like a kind of a free school and we got to do whatever we wanted, and I wanted to learn more about education. So that's when I had learned about Magda a little bit later after that. So I was excited to meet her and loved her when I met her. And I loved the work. Yet I didn't know I was going to teach. When I went to study, I just was interested in the work. Yeah. I was actually a painter before, an artist. So
that's lovely. I think there's something lovely about being with children that speaks to like an artist's soul. I think.
Yeah.
Children are artists.
Yeah.
Do you and you studied with Magda, and then you studied Waldorf, and those felt like those fit really well together for you.
Very much so. And I studied Waldorf years later after I'd already been teaching RIE, and but it's something about it attracted me. I know I went to visit, my nephew was going to the local Waldorf school here, and I went into one of the classrooms and I just felt like crying. I felt like somebody here really cares about the children. It just was so obvious and so thoughtful. And I felt that I wanted to learn more about it and see if there were similarities. And it's very interesting that I think that Pikler and RIE is the practical side of what, Waldorf is about. It really, RIE has the real details of the everyday for people. Yeah. So I think it's a great match. It's real beautiful together.
So speaking of the everyday, I think that sometimes, certainly for myself, one of the things that I learned, I think kind of early on, is how much RIE approaches struggle and very, very differently. And and so your approach to maybe like a conflict between an adult and a child looks a lot different in a RIE setting than in a different setting. And I was wondering if we could just talk a little bit about that, like with like, let's say a toddler wants to climb up on a chair and you don't want them to be on that chair. It's not safe for them to be on that chair. You know, I think that maybe in a conventional situation that could happen, what could happen is you tell them to don't get on the chair. They keep going on the chair, and now you're in a struggle because you've told them not to go on the chair. You don't want them on the chair, and they're still on the chair. And
yeah, you're frustrated.
Yeah, you're frustrated because, you know, why won't they just listen to me? Maybe you could explain a little bit how it would look different in your studio.
Yeah, well, I do have chairs for the parents. And I know in a lot of the RIE classes, the parents are on the floor.
Mhm.
And I have chairs. And one of the reasons I do have the chairs is everything else is so safe. We hardly ever see a boundary being set. So in some ways, it's really helpful for that. And I think one thing that I learned is that whenever we can say the positive, it works out much better. So, for instance, I see a child climbing on the chair, and I would go, and they're standing up. Like, there's a point where if they're old enough and they get on the chair and they're sitting, we don't say anything. Okay. But when they're really little, they tend to want to climb before it's actually safe. But I would go to them and I would say, I'm going to take you down. And because they were standing up, I could see, oh, they want to get on something high. So I say to them, there's some things over there, like the big box or a climbing stairs that we have. There's something over there that you can climb up high. So I'll take you down and you can climb up on that. So instead of telling them you need to sit, chairs are for sitting, we don't stand on chairs, I prefer to see what they actually are desiring, which is to stand up high, to look around and come. I'll take you down. You can go climb up high on those things. So they might come back and try again and again and again and again and again and again. And I love that they try again. And they, you know, by the end, they're looking at me like, and I'll say, there's some things you can climb over there, and they'll go, you know. So I think they're checking, and it's a sweet way of learning. So that's what I would try to say, the positive when there was something. It's another instance is sometimes we have these silks and they'll swing them around, and maybe they will swing them close to somebody and they don't like it, the other person. And I say, you know, there's a place you can swing and it won't bump anybody, you know? So really, like, respecting their desires in a lot of ways. Also that they know that it bumps somebody. Oh, that bumped her, you can do that over there. As opposed to stopping everything because it could potentially not be good. Right?
Yeah.
Taking each time or in each instance as fresh.
And I mean, I would imagine for the child that it makes them, you know, it feels a lot different to get told something in a negative way versus a positive way, that it just, you know, I think for myself, I would feel a lot more cooperative if someone was giving me what I can do instead of telling me I can't do something and now I have to find the thing that I can do. Do you feel like children have a tendency to get stuck more in wanting to keep repeating something if the negative language is used?
Well, I think you could come up with more of a struggle.
Okay.
You know, just in general. I think it's like if I said, oh no, don't climb on the chair, you know, I'm taking you down, or, you know, or you need to sit. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to me. So I mean, it would be the same, like if someone went to hurt somebody, I would go and say, I'm going to put my hand here. That's his face, you know, and then talk about what maybe they're wanting. You know, he has a toy that you want. Yeah, you're trying to take it. I can see that. Or, you know, like that. But I try to keep it on the positive if we can.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
I think one thing that I think is a very interesting thing to see is how when you speak to a child in the positive way, this is the voice that they have then, right? As they learn language, they learn to speak in a positive way. And it's very interesting to then see them speak to other children when that difference happens, when a child speaks to someone in a positive manner versus.
I used to see that with my son, with friends, and he'll say, you can do that over there. You can do it over there.
Yeah.
Here, take this and do it over there.
Yeah.
You know? So anyway, that's sort of what I learned is when we can use the positive to use the positive. And also when you say a negative, they usually hear the don't do that. They usually hear that part, what not to do.
Right.
As opposed to what you can do.
Right. Then they have to invent for themselves what they can do because we haven't given them that piece of information. That's a lot of.
Yeah. Or here, there's some big boxes over there that you can climb. And it's not done in a way that's like, look, see, you can, you know, and we don't take the child over there either. And we don't get excited about what they can do. They have to decide. So if they want to try to climb again, they can, and I'm going to take you down. And that's where you can climb, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then they learn. They know. They know what to do. They're really smart. And I think too, when we start, like, we can be condescending also with little ones. I mean, they know that that's a chair. They know that you're sitting in it, but you know,
right.
And also they don't need to do anything. Like for us to tell kids what they need to do. You need to sit if you want this. You need to go here if you want that. You know. They don't.
We need them.
They don't. Yeah, I want you to.
We want them to sit. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just sit down?
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like.
I'd rather talk like that.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like we're saying that often grown-ups manufacture a struggle just by not necessarily seeing the child's point of view, or being respectful can kind of cause you to step into a struggle rather than avoid one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, they can also not like being taken down.
Sure.
And it's okay. You really wanted to climb up on that chair. I saw. Yeah. And there's some things that you can climb on. So it's not to avoid anything. It's just honest.
Right. Yeah, this is what's happening and you can have your feelings about it.
Yeah.
Another place that I think sometimes parents struggle is meals. And I think that sometimes there's a couple of things, is like getting them to stay in their spot, or wanting to control the food can become a struggle.
Definitely.
Can we talk about that a little?
Sure. I mean, in RIE, I mean, that's one of the most beautiful parts of RIE is how we feed and how we are together during that time. It's so nice. And how we have to have trust in the child to know that they're hungry and how much to eat and when they're done. And so in a typical, you know, I mean, without learning RIE, I mean, you have to know RIE to know this. Like no one is automatically, I think, realizing, you know, because feeding is a really hard part of parenting. You know, not getting emotional about they eat, they don't eat, they want this, they want that, you know, all the stuff that goes on for families. But in the way we do it with RIE is so much bringing a beautiful ritual to them and bringing ourselves to them and So in the beginning, we will feed the baby once they're, having food in our lap. And again, it's very intimate and together. And what we learned from Magda is that not one more bite than what they want. So it's so important. And what I understand is they're born knowing how much to eat and if they're hungry and all that. And we just take it away by, here, just one more bite, or are you sure you're done? Or, there's just a few more people, and all the, games, to get them, and then cheering or whatever, happens. So in RIE, that doesn't happen. And we start in the lap. And in a RIE class, the way I start with the babies, when they're all sitting up, they have to be, crawling and coming to sitting themselves on their own with no help. Then I would put a cloth down, and I bring my bucket with my bananas and my bibs and the cloth to wash their hands. And I would set it down, and they would come over if they want. So that's the first choice. That's whether I come or I don't. And some come and they just sit, and some come and want to eat. And probably the first time I don't make a big deal about a bib or the hands. The very first time, like, just to be comfortable. It's an invitation, like, get used to this. And they'll come over and they're curious, and then we'll eat like that. And I don't do glasses in the beginning, not until we bring the table and the stools out, and that comes later. The stools and the table come when they can actually get on the stool by themselves and off the stool by themselves. And they'll come and they'll eat, and we're not asking them, do you want a piece of banana? Do you want another piece? Are you still hungry? No, the question is in the gesture. So here's the banana and their gesture of taking it. And that's the conversation. So we don't need to do sign language, and we don't need to do ask questions about stuff. So they just need to, would they like it, and that. And some kids, like I said, want to sit there, but they don't necessarily participate in the very beginning. And they have to come to it. So if somebody crawls away with a piece of banana, we don't take the child back to the snack. But I will go and say, I can take the banana. This is the gesture of asking without asking. I can take the banana, and I'll take it, and I'll bring it back to the cloth, and you can come back and eat it if you want to. So they're free, to go. Because everybody always asks, but what if they leave with food? So that's how we do it. If I notice one child taking a piece and taking it away and taking, coming back and forth, I think you've seen kids like that, then they get a very tiny piece and they've popped it in their mouth, and they leave, and they're fine.
Yes.
We don't have to tell them anything. They'll get it in good time, and they all do. So let's see, what else about snack? And then later they have their stools and their chairs, and what if they leave the table and at RIE and they want to come back, they can. And so when they come back, it'll be, oh, you're still hungry. You'd like to join us. If somebody came and I'm putting it away and they had left, and then they said, and then it wouldn't come back. Then it would be next time. We're putting it away now. At home, if I was feeding my child and they moved away, I'd probably put it away, or I'd wait for a couple moments. And again, you have to remember where you're at in the learning, in the teaching. Is it the first time? Is it the second time? Do they really know what's going on here? Then, maybe I wait for a minute, and then I'm going to start to put the food away. And they can have that chance to come back or not.
Have you ever met a child that as soon, well, I guess you wouldn't really see it in a class as much as you might see it in a home, is right as soon as you put the food away, then they come back?
Yeah, I've seen it at class. I've seen it at home, and it doesn't come back.
Right. They're just, but they
I
want
mean, we've been there,
to. Yeah,
we've been there. It's okay. They really, they want to know. And it's,
true.
usually they're really understanding,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
there's,
they're just trying to understand. And there's no, nothing wrong with it. Oh, you
right.
wanted more. Just put that away.
Yeah.
We'll have it next week. We'll eat again next week if they
Right,
come to
right.
class. Not your kid, then, we'll
Well,
have
they're
lunch in
gonna
a
eat a
little
little
while
later.
or a
Yeah.
snack later.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
It is very interesting, that need to check in to see if it's true. Like, is it true
yeah,
you're putting it away? Is it true I'm not gonna,
yeah.
you know, I think that's a fascinating part about toddlers, is their drive to check to see if that's true, if that is a true story.
Yeah, right.
um, um, well, it sounds like in a rye house that it's not going to be a lot of struggle.
Oh, no, I don't see why not. But I
Yeah.
think there is struggle. I mean, there's
Mhm.
struggle in life.
Right.
There's struggle for other reasons. And, I mean, what would we struggle about at home? What are the struggles that maybe people have?
I
I
think.
mean, people were, during this time, we've been doing calls,
Mhm. Mhm.
one-on-one, like coaching support. And I had actually one week, I had like 3 in a row that were all about the high chair and throwing food down.
Yeah.
And, so we talk about, is it the beginning of the meal, the middle of the meal, the end of the meal? It's mostly the end of the meal, or they weren't feeling that great, or they,
Yeah.
it's really, um, one of the big RIE principles of observation and seeing, not, adults were so end oriented,
Mhm.
right? So we made this food and now it needs to be eaten. you know
Yes.
so,
That is
and
the
when it's
classical
not,
thing.
or we sometimes it blocks our view for observing the child. Like, I just remember the times maybe my child didn't want to eat and maybe they weren't feeling good,
Mhm.
and realizing, like, they really know
Yeah.
if you let them remain knowing, let's say, because
Yes.
we take it away. They
Yeah.
second guess themselves when we ask them to have one more bite, or
Mhm.
they lose their knowing of themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, well, I feel like another struggle parents sometimes have is not wanting them to have certain foods. And so then wanting to control those foods that they feel like shouldn't be eaten in the same amount as other foods.
True.
We
That's
speak about
yes.
that a little.
Well, I feel like it's really hard. I mean, the food culture at people's houses are going to be different, and
Mhm.
I don't think they all need to be the same. I mean, there's going to be people that we eat at certain times and that's all we do, and they're really clear and it's really okay with them. And there's other people that if they want something or they're hungry and they want it, they'll do that too. So I never try to get in the way of that. If that's not a problem, that's not a problem.
Mhm.
I've seen healthy families, both. you
Mhm.
know um, I think, though, if there's certain things, like a lot of people do that thing where there's dessert after
Mhm.
dinner, and then they start feeling like, how could I give them the dessert when they didn't really eat what I think they should eat? So
Mhm.
that's tricky.
Mhm.
um, or there's things on the shelf, or they know what's in the closet and all that. And
Mhm.
I think in a lot of ways, it, it's so much easier if what we don't want them to eat is not there.
Yeah.
I find that easier,
Yeah.
than being the dictator about how much and when. I
Mhm.
didn't like doing that myself.
I don't like it either. I don't.
I'd rather be the more of a partner in that. I mean, in our house, it was more, um, we had meals and snacks, and they were there was a rhythm, and
Mhm.
that's how it worked well for me. Like, I'm not a grazer myself, but some people are. So,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
find,
I think it depends.
yeah, I don't like being the food police either. I just rather only offer what I want them to eat, and not, if you have this, then you can have that. That always feels really.
Right, right. And I just talked to someone last week, and it was about just make sweet things that you don't mind them eating.
Mm.
You know, there's so many things that could satisfy the sweet tooth that actually you wouldn't mind if they, like, I was telling you about these cookies. Like, I don't care. My kids could have them for breakfast. I think they're really healthy. It's oats and a little maple syrup and, you know, nuts.
Yeah.
And so go for it if that's your fancy.
Right. We have a nutritious brownie we do.
Yeah.
She eats them just those all day, you know, spinach and pumpkin and oats and, you know, it's just dates. So, you know, those we have, and if she wants to eat those all day, so be it.
Yeah. And another thing, I think that the way we have to help them keep their own, what they know about themselves intact is, I suggest maybe with a toddler is to have bowls that you serve from and not come to a plate full of food. And would you like some this, and pass it, you know, and pass it around. And if they say no, it's no. And it's not like I've done, oh, it's really good, it's really sweet, you're really gonna like it. You know?
Right.
I mean, I got called on that. And are you sure? You know, it just has to be, you ask the question, you have to accept the answer. And it's not like they can't later ask for it if they just change their minds. But I think once they feel that they're really taken seriously, I think it makes a difference. I really do, in feeding, in everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. I mean, I think that it's an important thing, them feeling like they're being taken seriously. That's, you know, something that not a lot of children get to feel.
Right. Sadly.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I know what's popular too is, you know, putting all the food out and letting them decide what they eat, which is kind of what we're talking about. Yeah.
Right.
And just having all good things. And the other thing that I suggest is, like with snacks, snack food is as good as the meal food. You know, it's not snack food. It's, you know, if they ate a big snack and come to dinner and they're not that hungry, that's okay.
Yes.
Because they already ate well.
Yes.
You know.
That's true. I've known so many toddlers where like their afternoon snack time is a much bigger meal than what a grown-up would perceive the the dinner meal would be. And so that if you have the same kind of offerings versus this is a meal and this is a snack, but you're offering some vegetables or fruits or nuts, you know, anytime, then you might see that like their 3:30 meal or their 3:00 meal, that in my experience, that's been true, that like that can be where they really eat a lot. And then their dinner is this small kind of, they don't eat as much then.
We've made dinner at 4:30. Our dinners have changed over the years of what time they are, depending on where the kids are at. And we also, like, you know how people also talk about the end of the day and they can't get dinner made and the kids are going berserko and like that. So, you know, we talk about, and maybe this is because I'm married, he's from Israel. We talk about a Mediterranean dinner, which is, what do you have in the fridge? And you just take it out. It's yogurt and toast and fruit and maybe a scrambled egg. And, you know, and it's like no one has to work that hard.
Right.
And that works too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we think, well, you know, we grew up in a certain culture. So we're used to like the big meal being dinner, and theirs is at lunch. So, but I really love that. You just, you know, bring out the cucumbers, bring out the platter of, and then you get to be with your kids in the afternoon when they're needing you the most.
Right. Yes. I mean, grazing platters are a really popular thing on like Pinterest. But I feel like my daughter would like eat a grazing platter. Like that would be like her morning, noon, and night if she could. Just like give me some
nuts, healthy.
A little dried fruit, some fresh fruit, some fresh vegetables. Maybe, you know, maybe every once in a while, a little salami or or,
Yeah.
like ham or turkey, you know what I mean? Like she really just like is like, give me some pistachios, cashews,
That's
and,
really good. Yeah.
sweet peppers. And she's like, thinks her life is, I mean, she would eat
Yeah.
every day.
I've seen those beautiful boards, like
Yeah.
a wood board,
Yeah.
and they're all, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's great and how
Yeah.
fun to make.
Yeah, they are, and I mean, they're really easy, but they look
Yeah.
beautiful. They're enticing. You can take what you want and only eat as much as you want. But they really,
Right.
I mean, she really would eat. I could make one for her like 3 meals a day for a month, and she'd
Yeah.
probably
So you
never
don't have to
tire.
cook anymore.
Yeah, I
Once
know.
you,
um, I'm trying to think of like what other. Well, I mean, I suppose in homes, children still struggle amongst themselves, like siblings struggle.
yeah.
And how do you manage sibling strife?
I think sibling stuff is hard. It was really hard for me. I have 2 kids. And I'm still learning. I'm really learning. And I could see that when even now with my kids are older, 14 and 9, um, when I say, come here, I want to hear, tell me what happened for
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And wait, okay, now she's going to say what happened to her. I see they get almost a little smile, like they're so happy I'm doing that. And I
Yeah.
don't always do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think, like, I know Rye talks about um, staying out of things, but I think and it's so dependent on the ages and like that. But eventually, I think they really could use the help.
Mm-hmm.
And the intervening, I don't mean, sometimes it could just be, see, I think that word, do we intervene or not intervene, can be deceiving.
Right.
Because even in a class, when something's happening, maybe I don't walk over and intervene, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe they know I'm paying attention. And
Mm-hmm.
that's an intervention too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I go to fold some silk cloths to get some calm in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So that also is, you know what I mean? We're so black or white. Did I go in
Right.
there and tell them not to do it, or did I
Right.
not do anything? So I think there's different degrees of intervening and not intervening. But I think I don't like when kids hurt each other. That, as a mom, was really hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that it's important to step in.
Mm-hmm.
And the same in a RIE class, like, we don't let kids hurt each, we'll go
Right.
step in.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to be close if they need you.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to make sure each one is getting their own intimate time with you. I mean, now we're talking a little bit about older kids, because the beauty of RIE is that our together time is built into the caregiving time. So when they're little, we've given that and they're full with that. So we can know that happened. As they get older and more independent, it's less that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to see that you haven't given one total attention,
Okay.
even if you've been with them all day. So I think that's really important to look at in terms of siblings. Is each one getting what they need? I mean, we have to start. It's also like, whenever there's a problem with a child in a class or at home, it's
Mm-hmm.
always the first thing is, let's talk about sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make sure we have that going well.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it isn't going well, it's hard to get the rest, everything else lined up.
Right.
So I think that's important. I just read something online today on a RIE thing, and it was, how hard it was for the child to go anywhere to a shop. And then in the same thing, she was saying that she's not sleeping well. And then all the comments were about the shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to say, well, let's talk about the sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because how could anyone cope when they're tired? I mean, someone that little,
Mm-hmm.
like
Hard for grown-ups to cope.
18 months, 20 months, I don't remember, right?
Yeah.
So you can't, you can't ignore those things and jump to other things,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember when there's something going on, we have to look at the whole picture.
Right. So it's observation again, just back to
Yeah.
watching and paying attention, really paying attention to the subtleties that are going to clue you into what the need is.
Right.
Well, what if there's struggles on sleep though? What if there's a struggle on a struggle? Now,
Well, yeah.
you're having a hard time, they're having a hard time with sleep, you're having a hard time with sleep. How do you sidestep struggles surrounding sleep?
That's like the biggest question. Like, if I knew I'd write that book and my book would be the book, but like, look how many books there are on sleep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, really. I could use an example maybe from a call I had about sleep, and a 16-month, and she was nursing, and then she would play a little bit, then go in the crib, then cry, and then want to come out, and then nursing, and I don't know. I think the thing about sleep is we try so hard and we read all these things, like we have to get blackout curtains and we have to get a noise machine and nobody can make any noise in the house. And so we start out from the beginning not only with all those things, but also, and which all take us away from the child. So we start out in the beginning of like, what can I do to get this baby to sleep? And sometimes we don't even look at the baby.
Right.
But we see what everybody, maybe we bounce them or we get that ball, and maybe it worked once, so we keep doing it. And we start out from the beginning.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of competition about sleep. Has your baby sleeping? Is your baby sleeping? And does he sleep through the night? And how did you get? And but I don't know. There's not that much about just putting a baby to bed because they're tired. And we notice that you're so tired. Magda used to say, "You're so tired. Oh, you're so lucky you get to go to sleep. I still have so much work to do. I've got all these dishes and I've got this and that." And you're so lucky. And with this attitude, right? And with both my kids, my son, I remember in the very first week, I think it was, when we brought him home. And I'm telling this story because they're so opposites, both my kids. And I thought, well, he's been 9 months. I've been carrying him. And my husband and I have been talking for 9 months. He's heard us. And, well, maybe not all the 9 months, but so we would go into the room and put him in the bassinet and maybe turn the light a little lower, but just normal. And him and I would just talk. And we would chat. And my son would play. And then he would fall asleep. And then it just seemed like natural. Like, if you think about it, like we're very lucky that our babies have their own rooms or a room with us. I mean, there's families that there's a bunch. And if you think about Loczy too, like Loczy, there were 8 kids in a room trying to fall asleep. There's no precious answer, except it's just what it is at your home, right? I think too, we try so hard to find the solution, or people say it takes me an hour to put them to sleep. Like, who wants to do that? You feel stressed yourself after that hour. You don't feel good anymore.
Right.
You feel like, I don't know. I mean, there's this, I said to her, this person I talked to, I said, leave the light on a little bit, potter around the room, pop her in the crib, standing, maybe you don't have to lay her down. Why don't you just like it's normal, like you empty the trash can, you get the clothes for the next day, you make the bed, whatever. She watches you, she lays down, whatever, just to take the pressure off the parent and the child. around sleep. I
Right.
think there's just so much pressure on people.
Yeah.
And I want to just take the pressure off and let it be like, um, hi, and yeah, I'm still here and you're in your
Yeah.
bed. But anyway, I was talking to this woman and I told her that, and she said, I don't know, it wasn't a whole week, but she sent me a text saying, yeah, she just leans back and
Mm.
asked me to put her in the crib.
Oh.
And that's just how it was. It just, she just lightened up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the most important thing too is that the child know that they're tired, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're so tired. It's hard to play. Come, let's get you ready for bed.
Right.
So they're really a part of it.
Yeah. I'm thinking this right now as you're saying that. I wonder if sometimes accidentally as adults we signal because we're worried that they're not going to sleep, that we're trusting that, like, our internal dialogue is, oh, they're not going to sleep, and then I'm going to be so tired, and I'm going to not. And there's this ticker tape of the concerns that you have about them not sleeping. I wonder if we accidentally signal to them that, like, sleep is there's something wrong with it, or there's a worry to it, instead of that it's this
Great
thing
thing.
you're gonna do. You're gonna have a
Yeah.
nap, which is where we really are. We really think it's this beautiful thing. We want them to sleep. We want our nap time. As a mom, you're like,
Yeah.
use nap time. That I wonder if we we inadvertently signal the exact opposite message we're trying to send. We're trying to
Well,
send.
when I taught nursery school, like the
Mhm.
days that you fell asleep, putting them to sleep,
Mhm.
everybody slept. The day you have a meeting and you have to get out, like sleep, 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 and you have to get out, imagine yourself tired and going to bed and someone there wanting you to fall asleep, like while they're there, instead of
Yeah.
like, I think it also gives a signal of like, it isn't a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it and you don't do it now or quicker, and I it's becomes a negative. It's a real
Yeah.
negative for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying it's easy and kids don't just go to sleep. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was lucky with my first, and then I had my second,
Mm-hmm.
and it was totally different. And it was just different. She cried for the first 6 weeks and she was very tired, and I stayed with her more, but still similar. I mean, I can't make somebody sleep.
Right.
It just doesn't feel good
Yeah.
for either person.
Right. Yeah.
But I just want to acknowledge, as a mom, as
Mm-hmm.
moms, that we
Yeah.
do want them to go to bed.
Of course we do.
And
I
we
mean,
need it. But again, if we didn't feel like we had to be so quiet and all that, because I know that as a child myself, I like to hear the sounds of the home.
mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, to cut everything off, it's we don't really have to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. As a mom, you want them to sleep. You need that time.
Yeah, you do.
Um, but but finding the ability to kind of trust that they're going to sleep. And I think sometimes I don't, is that also trusting that their sleep might look very different than other people's. Like, different children's sleep looks different. They might consolidate their naps sooner. They might, that everything is kind of the spectrum, and it doesn't mean everyone's hitting these, they're these notes.
Right. They're not all sleeping through the night at the same time.
Right.
They're not all. Yeah.
Right. Or they might consolidate 2 naps into 1 sooner than another child, but they're getting the bulk of their sleep.
Oh yes, of course. Right. Yeah.
Like, my daughter gave up naps really, really young, and I'm really young.
Yeah.
And so much that I was like, this kid, you can't really be giving up your nap. You're 2.5. Like, you're not really giving up your nap. But she consolidated it all at night, and she would get like 13 to 14 hours of sleep at night. She loved that. But she didn't want to stop when she was up in the day.
Yeah, and I would imagine she was okay in the day.
She was totally fine. There was no there was not even, I mean, that she never fell asleep. She never, even if you were in a car, she wouldn't fall asleep. yeah, it was just like, we did like that quiet nap. I'm in the room, I'm doing stuff. You just can read books and we'll be still and see what happens.
A rest time.
You know,
Yeah.
like she was just not going to fall asleep.
Right.
But she slept a lot at night, and that was very strange for me. I was
Right,
not.
but that's how it was for her.
But
Yeah.
how for her,
It would
yeah.
be different if she dropped the nap, even if she slept that long, and then she was having a hard time in the day. Then it would
Right,
be different. But you
right.
didn't find that. So
No, yeah,
yes, we look at the child.
yeah. She wasn't upset by the lack of naps. She was actually like very
Right.
happy to get to keep. I think she just had a drive. She wanted to keep going once she was up. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
until I'm tired. And it wasn't like she was immediately crashing at night. She still like had her soft sleep, soft, cues for sleep at night. It wasn't a hard, like,
Yeah. Right.
So it is really fascinating to, that I think sometimes we can get caught up in these very rigid, like this is how it's supposed to be. And if it's not this way, then we're doing something wrong, or and then
Right.
that level of upset, then we're struggling kind of with our own thought process instead of.
Or we're comparing. I think that's the worst. Whenever I've compared myself, or when people come and they're comparing themselves, it's the worst. Isn't good for anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, and it really doesn't get you to the results you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I really I feel like people are going to take away that, you won't have struggle with RIE kids, which isn't true. I mean, you still have it. I think it's just about that, the way you view it.
Or the way you handle it. But you're still, like I said, with the chair, for instance, we might take them down. They might not like that. They might cry. They might really, you don't know. It's everything we do isn't to get the result of them not being upset or agreeing with us. They can disagree. It's okay.
Right.
Oh
my gosh, I think that is such an important piece that I don't want us to gloss over. I think that's a really important thing for people to realize, which is they get to disagree. They don't have to agree with it. It's just, but this is what's happening. Like, we've made this decision and this is happening.
Yeah. And if anytime we feel like we made a decision and it isn't the right decision, then we'll change it.
Right. Yeah.
We can also model flexibility.
Right.
So
and how to make a mistake.
Yeah. And not be rigid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's lovely. Do you have anything, do you want to say anything else? Or I think that was a beautiful conversation about struggle. And
Great. Good.
Thank you for doing this.
Sure.
Sharing your time.
Thanks for asking me.
Oh my gosh, it was my absolute pleasure. Thank you for sharing some time today with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Okay.